Hey everyone, Eric here with April 1985. Just a little trivia here. For the first 3 weeks of April 1985, the number one movie in the country was Police Academy 2, Their First Assignment. And it's quite possible I saw that in the theater. And for the last 3 weeks of April 1985, the number one song in the country was We Are the World. And then here we go with the books that I read in April 1985. First off, looking at my list here, let's move it over. First we have The Blood Ring by Kenneth Robeson, or however you say his name. It's another one of the Avengers books, the Avenger books. Another cool cover. And it's number 6, as you can see. Just more pulpy goodness. And that's the last, I think, for a while of the pulp books. If you watched last week's video, you know there were a ton. There were a bunch of Doc Savage and the Avenger. Well, that's the last one for a while. Second book I read in April 1985, Spell Singer by Alan Dean Foster. Excuse me. I don't know if Alan Dean Foster is known mainly for his movie novelizations, but he does a ton of those. He did, I want to say, all of the Alien movie novelizations, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I know he did a few. But he also wrote a lot of original stuff. Spell Singer was the first in a series. It was a lot of fun, light-hearted fantasy about, I believe, a slacker. I think he was a slacker from Earth, from our world, that somehow gets transported to a magical world. And he is a musician, and when he gets to the magical world, he learns that he is a spell singer. I want to say one of his companions is a talking otter. It's been a long time, obviously, since I read this, but I think that's right. And then he has some other companions that he joins up with, and excuse me, they have a big adventure. Of course, he wants to get back home. What I thought was really fun was that essentially anything he sang, he could make happen. He could create magic by singing. And so he would sing songs that he knew from Earth. So whatever hit song or whatever song he could think of from Earth that might somehow affect what he was trying to do. The one thing that comes to mind, and I don't think it was in this book, I think it was in one of the sequels, is they're on a ship and he sings Sloop John B., I believe it is, hoping, because it has a verse, I want to go home, something like that. He's hoping it'll take him home, but he ends up just making everybody sick, because there's a line in there about people get sick. So the spells don't always go the way he wants. Anyway, Spell Singer, Alan Dean Foster, a lot of fun. Something I may reread down the road. Just revisit it, see if it's as enjoyable as I remember. Number 3, Magician's Gambit by David Eddings. This is the Belgariad, Book 3. Mentioned Book 2 in the first video or the second video. I think the second. Anyway, a 5-book epic fantasy story. I said in the other video it kind of falls between Piers Anthony's Xanth stuff, which is really lighthearted, and, you know, the hardcore, for lack of a better word, Lord of the Rings, sort of middle ground. It's not as goofy or as funny or as light as Xanth or even Spell Singer, but definitely not as thick as Lord of the Rings. Don't remember too much about the story. I just really enjoyed the series. Next we have River of Gold by Jerry and S.A. Ahern. I believe it's Sharon Ahern. This is actually Book 2 of The Takers, I think was the series. It was published by Gold Eagle, which was a publisher of sort of adventure books. Some might call them men's adventure books. And this was a if I recall correctly, it's almost an Indiana Jones-ish kind of thing. Or it even harkens back to some of the old pulps. The main characters were a man and a woman, and I think there's a treasure map and someone who's been kidnapped, and they go to the Amazon, and there's a tribe of warrior women and piranha and headhunters, and there's all sorts of crazy, just action-packed cliffhangers, crazy stuff. So that's River of Gold, The Taker's Book 2. Next we have Damiano by R.A. McAvoy. Something like that. I may have written it wrong. Damiano, I had to take some notes here. I remember that I read it. Didn't remember anything about it, but it's an alternate history that takes place in during the Italian Renaissance. There's magic, and Damiano is the inheritor of dark magic, but he has other interests. He's not that interested in the dark magic. He befriends the Archangel Raphael, who's teaching him the lute, but he does have to learn how to use his magical powers to save his family, I think, or somebody. Anyways, it was a very interesting book. Next we have Fools Die by Mario Puzo, author of The Godfather. This was a pretty good-sized book, and it's the story basically of two brothers, and it's just almost a very sprawling story. They get involved in gambling and publishing and the film industry, and I looked this up, and it takes them from Vegas to New York to Hollywood, and there's criminals and law enforcement, and it's just sort of these brothers, again, wending their way through these different aspects of the world. And I think I remember one particular scene, but I could be mixing it up with a completely different book, so I'm not going to mention it. It has... I don't know if anybody's read this. I swear this is the book that has a scene... I guess I am going to mention it. Has a scene where one brother catches the other brother sleeping with his wife. But I could have that completely wrong. Anyway, Fools Die, Mario Puzo. A well-written book. I mean, I enjoyed The Godfather. I recall enjoying this. I may have read one... I know I read at least one other by Mario Puzo and enjoyed that as well. I don't know if it's on this list or not. We'll find out eventually. And finally, we have The 99 by Jerry Ahern. This is actually Track, or book one of the Track series. Again, it's from Golden Eagle, and it's just one of those men's adventure. It's some rough and tumble guy saving the world. I had to look it up, and this guy, Track, has to save Chicago from a nuclear weapon. So just some fun, lighthearted reading from another one from Jerry Ahern. Again, I'm not looking ahead. So while I remember a lot of the books I've read, I don't know where they're going to fall on this list. I don't remember all the specifics. So there may be more Jerry Ahern, or not. We'll find out together. That's it. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books in April. If I had to pick one out of here, probably The Magician's Gambit or Spellsinger would have been my favorite of that month. The whole Belgariad series was really good, but Spellsinger was a lot of fun. And the rest, I really don't remember the Ahern books. I didn't remember much about Damiano. Fools Die. So, that's it. That's a quick one. 7 books in April. I can see May. It looks like there's quite a few more books. I haven't looked. I'm not looking at what they are. All right. So that's the books I read in April 1985. Please comment below. We can talk about these things. Let me know if you've read any of these, or if you were around back then, what you were reading. If you saw Police Academy 2, their first assignment. or if you remember the song We Are the World. Please like, share, and subscribe. I don't think I've said that in the other videos, but I'm saying it now. And until next time, read more books.